Hello, I am here with one of the OGs in the Sur Ronster community. This is Andy Harris from Sur Ronster Pit Stop, here to share with us all of the fascinating things he's done to his Sur Ronster. I'm going to let him take it away. Andy, show us what you got.
Well, I should first thank you. Well, thank you, Sur Ronster, for having me. It's an honor to be here and to break down my bike today. Yeah, jeez, there's a bee in my face. This is a 72-volt Sur Ronster that I've built over the course of the last 3.5 years. This is a late 2018 model that I picked up from Lunicycle when they had the square wave controllers. I don't know if anyone knows what those are, but that came before the sine waves and before the BACs by a mile. And so I was using this thing with a really weird humming controller. I've upgraded it now 3 times since then. Starting from the front of the bike, we're just going to break down all of the upgrades I've made. So the first thing that you'll see is that we're running the 17-inch Supermoto tires. I've upgraded to a 220 Magura front floating rotor. I'm using the stock Gen 2 Sur Ronster caliper with the master cylinder, and I've used spacers to make it line up with the 220mm rotor. As we work our way up in the front, you'll notice I have this super bright daytime running light and Baja racing light. I love the aesthetic on this thing, and we vinyl wrapped it carbon fiber. Above that, you'll see my TFT color display that displays all of my real-time information, including wattage, speed, mileage, and battery percentage. Behind that, you see my custom shrouded BAC 4000. We did a custom paint job on a custom heatsink for the BAC, so it stays nice and cool. And on top of the BAC, you'll see an automotive-grade horn that is straight off of a car. Of course, we have our Sur Ronster Pit Stop LED kit for underglow at night. We have the stock bash guard painted to match the vehicle. On the handlebars, I have a lot of multimedia attachments. I can control my helmet and the music I'm playing, as well as take calls, access Siri. On the other side, you'll notice that I have an active regen brake. This controls my rear wheel regenerative braking. And we have active brake light controls with our brake sensors in either master cylinder. So this BAC 4000 has been custom programmed over the course of several years. I figured out how to tap into it with my laptop, so we're running an unregulated 24.6 kilowatt tune on my mode 3. What that means is we are pulling as much power as we can from the battery, and so that will vary with battery charge. It will vary over time, and we are running a regulated 14.4 kilowatt tune on my mode 2. That also controls traction control and electronic ABS for the rear wheel. Moving to the battery, it's a 72-volt, 30-amp-hour battery that can push up to 25 kilowatts. This is an early generation Lightspeed battery. It's definitely degraded over time, so I'm planning on upgrading that. I fabricated this 2-person Cafe Racer style extended seat with a steel subframe. This is all custom upholstery and welding. Underneath my custom seat, you'll notice that I have an onboard vehicle charger. What that means is I can go just about anywhere and plug into a 110-volt standard US outlet and get a full charge. This charger is shockproof as well as waterproof, so I don't need to worry about it while I'm on the road. Something that'll definitely surprise you about this bike is that after almost 4 years of abuse, I am still running my primary belt drive. I have never had to service it nor adjust it, and I've put my bike through some pretty terrible conditions, so the fact that it's still standing and still basically pristine is fairly noteworthy. Touching a little bit on the drivetrain, we've upgraded the gear ratio so that we are getting more torque at the rear wheel. We started that by going to 17-inch wheels with the stock gear ratio on the 48-tooth sprocket, and I have since replaced that for a 54-tooth sprocket, which increased my torque but lowered my top speed. Even with this reduced gearing, the vehicle will still get to 60 miles an hour. I've actually electronically limited it to about 62, and it'll do that in about 4.5 seconds. Now, with all this added power, you need added braking. So I actually have 4 different methods of braking on this vehicle. We have our left hand brake, we have our right front brake, we have our right foot brake, and we have our left hand regenerative braking. All of these different brake sources make sure that if something were to fail at speed, I would still be able to safely get back to 0. We have this nice custom CNC'd bracket for our foot brake. Bruh. We're running one Magura MT5E and one SRAM guide. This uses DOT fluid, so I'm not worried about it overheating. I've also added a custom shift locker on the left side of the vehicle This helps me hold onto the bike when I'm wheeling. This serves no other purpose than wheelies.
FBI, open up!
Another interesting thing that you'll notice is that I'm still running my stock rear suspension. I've never had problems with it. It's been plenty cushy for me, and though I plan to upgrade to potentially a color matching Olin in the future, it has really done a great job over these years. The front suspension has been replaced. I got the bike stock with the RST fork, but I swapped it for the DNM so that in the future I can do a dual caliper, dual rotor system on the front wheel. That'll give me some real added brake force and look really beautiful. The whole bike has been done up in sunset yellow, which I think looks amazing, and the half circles on the wheel rims took a little while to get right, but came out beautifully. Now, as far as other mods that I've done to this vehicle that you can't necessarily see, I have a secondary 12-volt system installed on this bike, which means I've completely wired up from the battery a secondary 12-volt inverter. That gives power to peripheral attachments like my GPS tracker, as well as my alarm system. So with the press of a button on my hip, I can lock the vehicle and it will flash its headlights and brake lights as well as honk its horn. And if it notices any motion, it will freak the hell out. The GPS tracker is an Invoxia. I have that powered off of that same secondary 12-volt system, and that is hot glued to a micro USB, so it's nice and waterproof, so it's always getting charged off the battery. It will always be full charged as long as the vehicle has power. So I don't need to worry about charging that, taking it out myself, and that has been tucked in an undisclosed location. Like I touched on at the beginning, the whole bike has been configured to run a near 25 kilowatt tune. This does increase thermals. I have noticed that the motor will begin to overheat. The motor controller will in terrible conditions. The battery I've never had problems with, though I do plan on replacing that because of its reduced capacity over the years. As far as future upgrades, I don't really have a whole lot of ideas. One of them would be to do a dual caliper and rotor setup on the front wheel. Another upgrade I'd like would be to replace my 72-volt battery. Another small upgrade is that I will likely be replacing both of my rear brakes with Hope Tech E4s. Besides that, I really do want to get an Olin's rear shock. I think it would match the whole aesthetic and make the bike feel that much cushier. But besides that, there's really not a lot to change about this bike. It's pretty much a work of art at this point. There have been a ton of learning experiences in building this whole vehicle, and I'm taking that with me towards future endeavors building high-powered electric motorcycles. This motor controller is a huge upgrade from the sine wave controllers that have been shipping on the Sur X editions for the past 2 years, and an even larger upgrade from the Sur square wave controller that this vehicle started with. It made a terrible whining noise, it did not have regen braking, and you had noticeably less power on that controller. But I still have it as a souvenir at home, hung up on my wall, so I am one of the true OGs. It's been a blast being here. Thank you so much, Sur Ronster, for having me and letting me break down my bike today. And stay tuned. Perfect. Is that right?
Yeah.
I can do it again if you want.
That's good. That's great.
Yes.